of the NCHC, your team, and great pride on the line in a great league, and great pride on the line, obviously, with Wisconsin and the Big Ten. So an interesting matchup this Saturday. Isn't talk about some emotions going into this on the pride.
Yeah, I mean, the exhibition's always good for us to kind of get our feet under us going into games, Las Vegas next weekend. But so I think it'll be just kind of, I mean, see what kind of team we are, which might take more than one game to develop ultimately. But I think it's just a good way for some of these new guys, the freshmen, the transfers, and even returning guys, just to kind of see how we operate as a team when we are in actual games.
So thanks, Nolan.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Nolan.
All right. Open up the questions for Coach.
Nolan mentioned that the chemistry of the team had developed maybe a little faster than he was anticipating. How would you rate the growth of the team with so many new faces coming into this weekend?
Yeah, I think there's a good Nick Saban quote, you know, high achievers like high achievers and mediocre people like mediocre people. And so when you put a group of high character individuals together, maybe they haven't had a lot of time together in the past, they bond very quickly. I think you're seeing that with our group here. Very, very good, hardworking individuals want to be coached, want to get better, and you get an environment like this where you put all those guys together. It's fun to watch and fun to be part of. So really impressed with the way the group is working and growing. Obviously lots of work ahead of ourselves, but it's great to see that connection being formed early on.
Nolan alluded to, the pressure of the exhibition coming up. Obviously, you're in the meat grinder of the NCHC. What do you hope to get out of this weekend, the icebreaker tournament, that's going to help prepare you for the rigors of the NCHC play later on?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be potentially playing a lot of ranked teams right out of the bat here with Wisconsin coming in, obviously ranked high as well. So I like it. I would rather have some failures early on, especially in the exhibition game, to be tested there. It gives you some really immediate feedback for your players, which I think is a good thing sometimes early on when you're developing and learning to get that immediate feedback from the game. So I think bringing a opponent like Wisconsin in here for an exhibition game is going to do that at an accelerated rate, maybe compared to playing another team that doesn't have quite the talent or experience that a Wisconsin team would have. So I think that's going to serve us well and obviously prepare us as well for Vegas, where it counts for real, and we'll face some really good teams there as well. So it should be a great start to the season.
Coach, not just Wisconsin coming in, but the return of Mike Hastings. So just talk about Hastings coming back and just kind of your relationship with Mike.
Yeah, I think it's great. When we thought about that, especially with the Coach Camp ice dedication happening, I thought how soon it would be if we could get two teams that he spent 10 plus years. You know, I think he was 14 years in Wisconsin, and obviously well over 20 here for Omaha. So it's kind of nice to have both those teams playing on the same night. He's getting the ice dedicated where he spent so much of his college career there. So I think that's great, and obviously knowing Coach Hastings there and getting them to come here, and then we're going to end up returning back to them as well here, which will be pretty cool to play a Big Ten opponent that people are really familiar with, and obviously he's familiar with the city.
It has to be, especially we talked about it in the past, but he coached you here, and Kemper has been part of your life in such a big way. To talk about that and to reach this point, another huge honor for him. It just has to make you and your teammates and the other alums who play for Kemper really feel great.
Oh, absolutely. He started the program. He's the reason I'm in Omaha, both as a player and as a coach, and I owe a lot of my current life to him. And so it's really awesome to see him get honored and just really get that recognition of just all the hard work that he goes through and has went through. And now sitting in that seat too as a head coach, you have more empathy and respect for somebody that's gone through it. As a player, sometimes I don't think you take the time to realize what the coaches deal with, but having lived it now, you can have a greater respect for him as an individual and a person, and just how he conducts himself and cares about everybody that he comes in contact with. It's really nice to see him honored this way.
You've gotten some amazing support this year from fans, the Mankey Captain Scholarship and the David and Jane Offit donation. With Wear Black Give Back coming up next week, can you talk a little bit about how that fan support is important, especially with that opportunity to unlock an extra $25,000 in challenge money next week.
Well, it's so important, especially for the ever-changing landscape of the NCAA, and just how much you have to keep up with things and provide that support for your student athletes, whether it's nutrition or health and wellness. And I really think we're at the cutting edge with our department of all the things we're able to do for our athletes, whether it's nutrition, mental health, recovery, performance-driven stuff, and that obviously stuff costs money. So just the support we get here from our community, from our fans, from our donors, it's tremendous, and it allows us to kind of find those 1% things that we can continue to do to strive to be our best.
Coach, just a quick question on this weekend. Obviously, as we was asking Nolan about the great pride between two powerhouse conferences and big names, but it also is an exhibition. How do you approach it? Because you want to see some things happen out there. Maybe check out different goaltending and line combinations. But how do you approach the game? You want to win the exhibition,
Sure.
And in college hockey or any sport, but how do you also got some things you want to get done as far as seeing some tactics, strategy, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, first and foremost, you want to have a plan in place on how we're going to approach the game, and whether we stick to that when it gets competitive, who knows? But definitely, you want to make sure you're getting guys ice time to play and get guys some opportunities to experience different experiences and situations. So definitely want to get everybody into the game and make sure we get a couple goalies playing during the exhibition, get that experience. And that's one thing I wish we would have in college hockey is more exhibition games. I think the student athletes in most of the leagues they play at get a chance to make some failures and make some mistakes and learn and grow, get some feedback. And here we go from one exhibition game to immediate important games. So as a coach, it's tough because you'd like to get some more guys some playing experience, but it's so cutthroat of immediate games counting. It's tricky, but we'll do the best we can to get everybody some quality experience here on Saturday night.
Coach Nolan, talking about game experience a little bit, he kind of touched on the changing landscape with the transfer portal. You bring in guys that have some more, on ice experience. Something different for you as a coach, with the changing landscape with the transfer portal in college?
Yeah, I think you have to embrace change. I think you have to lean into it a little bit and have a plan and think about what you want to be as a program and how you want to handle those situations. And we've had some really good success with some older players coming to our program. They're a little bit more mature. They're maybe just not taking the bright shiny object in front of them and really looking at what's going to help them as hockey players, as people, and we've been able to have some good results too, helping those guys that maybe didn't have quite the impact that other programs come here and really do well. So I think it's going to be another situation like that this year where I'm really excited about some of our guys that we've added through the portal, and then some really quality incoming freshmen as well, with some good returners too. So it's going to be a nice mix of new faces and returning faces to ultimately make the team that will be our team for this season.
Coach, along those same lines, obviously like half the team's brand new to the program. How do you sort of implement the culture that you've already built here with also letting those new guys kind of build that for themselves? Yeah,
I think the most important thing is it's a new team. And as a coach, as much as just like Krenzen talked about, you want to maybe rely on what's been in the past, you have to approach it as this is the one time this team will be together to make sure you're doing things step by step and from step one. And that's something that we really do, just super clear early on what we're about and what we believe in, and then have those returners help, build that and influence those new guys, and also get to know those new guys and make sure they have been put into the culture as well. I do believe that cultures is an our thing. It's not a my thing. It's not a him or them thing. It's an our thing. And when you do that, I think that creates ownership with everybody.
Coach, I know it's still very early on, but at this point, how would you define a successful season? I know obviously hasn't started yet, but what would make a successful season for you guys as a team?
I think growth. I love the word growth to see when you're playing in 8 teams ranked in the top 20, right? That doesn't help me sleep at night. And but when you continue to just focus on how are we growing, how are we improving, how are we helping the athletes get better, then you're kind of more process focused and process driven than just outcome based, which can be tricky in this sport. But obviously, hey, we want to win a championship. We want to compete for that. But just want to see that growth. Where are we going to start off with? We'll see how that goes. But if we can get a little bit better every day and help these guys continue to improve, usually you're looking pretty good at the end of the season.
I think growth, kind of you talk about the new guys and stuff like that. So how those returners now that maybe were role players last year now being thrusted into leadership and more impactful roles, how those guys handled that new role on the team?
Agreed, and just starting with our captain, Nolan Krenzen, he's not a guy of many words or likes to take a lot of credit for himself, but the only thing he's got to do is be himself. He's wearing that C for a reason because of how he's conducted himself for the last 4 seasons, on and off the ice, and I think that's the most important thing for those returning guys. You just do what you've been doing all along, be yourself, and the most important thing is the day-to-day actions that you take, and then also helping influence some of those new guys and showing how we do things here and how things are done is really important. And we're really fortunate to have a really solid group of returning guys to do just that. Awesome. Okay, thanks guys.
Thanks,
Thanks, Bill.
everyone.
So